Hello fellow gamers! Today, I have a Solar Titan build that will not only blow your mind, but everything else around you. I usually make hunter builds on this channel, but this build was so good I just could not pass it up. Recently, Consecration and Ember of Ashes were buffed. This affected many builds, but I feel the build that got upgraded the most is the Pyrogale Gauntlets build. So without further ado, let's get into it. We will be starting in the subclass screen. For our first aspect, we will be taking Consecration. This aspect allows us to consume half of our melee energy while sliding to launch a wave of solar energy forward, and spend the other half to slam back to the ground, launching another wave that does more damage. For our super, we will be using Burning Maul. I will not be going insanely in depth in this because we're about to change it a ton. If you notice, both of these things are affected by your exotic armor piece of choice, Pyrogale Gauntlets. Its exotic armor perk, Percussive Flames, turns our Burning Maul super into a singular high damage slam, which also create 5 literal tornadoes of fire. It also makes Consecration's second slam make 1 tornado, which makes this insane for ad clear and boss DPS. For our second aspect, we will take Sol Invictus, which makes ability final blows and defeated scorched targets create a sunspot, which applies restoration to you and increases ability regen when standing in one. This means that by simply using our throwing hammer and getting a kill with it, we'll create a sunspot which will give us access to infinite regeneration and basically make us invincible. For our first fragment, we will take Ember of Torches, which makes powered melee attacks against enemies make you radiant. Using this to constantly get uptime on Radiant, which is a pure 25% damage bonus, we will be having this damage buff at all times. Next up, we will be using Ember of Ashes, which extends the Radiant or Restoration effects applied to us when we get a kill with a solar weapon or abilities. This also counts for Consecration slams, meaning that we'll be able to have infinite uptime on both Radiant and Restoration. For our third fragment, we will take Ember of Searing, which will grant us melee energy and drop a fire sprite when you defeat a scorched target. Fire sprites grant grenade energy when picked up, which will help us get Consecration and our healing grenade back right after they're used. Finally, we will be taking Ember of Ashes to simply deal more scorched to targets, which means more ignitions, meaning more ad clear and DPS. Finally, getting out of the subclass screen, let's move on to armor mods. On our helmet, we will take a copy of Hands On to grant us super energy on throwing hammer or Consecration final blows, along with an harmonic siphon to drop a orb of power on rapid solar weapon final blows. On our gloves, we will take Heavy Handed to make throwing hammer final blows create an orb of power, along with melee kickstart to consume armor charges to grant our melee back. On our chest armor, we will take Charged Up to increase our armor charge capacity by 1, along with resist mods of your choice depending on the activity you are currently running. On our leg armor, we will take Stacks on Stacks to grant an armor charge when picking up an orb of power, along with Invigoration and Recuperation to grant melee energy and a heal when we pick up an orb of power. Finally, on our class item, we will take Outreach to grant melee energy when using our barricade, and Powerful Attraction to collect nearby orbs of power when casting it. For our weapons, I have a couple of good legendary or exotic weapons. First, I would use Sunshot, as it is an ad clear monster. If you do not have it, or are going to use something else, weapons like Zowli's Bane and Callus Mini Tool with Incandescent work great as well. If you have none of those, as those are either from raids or the weekly exotic mission, Epical Integration also works incredibly well, and also insanely easy to get, as you can just buy from the collections and make it come with Incandescent and Keep Away. My next exotic option is Dragon's Breath for its boss DPS, which is always a no-brainer in these solar builds. Finally, to top it all off, let's go over our stat prioritizations so you can know what to roll at all times. Our most important stat will be Resilience, as the tier 10 30% damage reduction is always helpful in PvE and will allow you to die a lot less. And we'll also use Discipline for a healing grenade and Intellect to get our Burning Maul super faster for obvious reasons. But aside from that, I would like to thank everybody for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.